like, don't try to fit into what they think you ought to be. Don't try to be like everyone out here
Right.
because you don't know what they had to do to get in those positions.
Right.
Um, always remember that. And he probably doesn't even remember me, but
Yeah. It's
that
tough.
was for me, that was a special piece of advice.
Right.
Like, it really was.
Hmm.
And I think even now, for me talking to you
Hmm.
and have talked to most interviewers, it's kind of just been like I've been doing, me, not really
Right.
trying to fit into, you know, whoever's perception of me is.
Walking to my own beat, singing to my own. Everything is working out on my own. It's like fire in and out of my bones. Gonna let my stars align with the song. Walking to my own beat, singing to my own. Everything is working out on my own.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have a special guest join us today. Again, my name is Kevin Carthy from Music with Flavor, where we help you in navigating the music industry as independent musicians. On this special day, though, we have a special guest that is an artist from Port Arthur, Texas. Goes by the name of Jonee, and we're going to have a candid discussion on what she's been up to and some of the music that she's been working on. I got a chance to listen to her project, and it is really, really good. The singing on there is amazing, and the collaborations that she has going as well is pretty awesome. So I'm excited to have this talk, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jonee to the show today.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Awesome. How are you today?
I'm good, just was running around trying to do last minute things before the show.
Got you.
But other than that, just trying to be here in the present.
I hear you. That's awesome. So for those who don't know, could you briefly maybe tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into music?
Okay. All right. So I'm 21. That's
Cool.
number one. I would say how I got my start in music. I would say it had to be when I was like 12 or 13. I
Mhm.
started going to a music school. It's called Tanalta.
Mhm.
Then I really started to think about it when I was like 14 or 15. I joined the choir at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay,
And I
nice.
started to sing solos. And the first one I did was with a lovely lady named Miss Erica Claiborne. She showed me how to sing like in front of a crowd.
Mhm.
And then I had Miss Marie Sanders, a beautiful spirit. She gave me the rest of the tools on doing solos and just learning kind of how to sing. And even took me to studio sessions in Houston sometimes. That's when I recorded My Day at Muse.
Mhm.
Then there was Dr. James Mabel. He was the youth pastor. He kind of showed me the way when it comes to came to the music business.
Nice.
Then I had Terrence Ruffin, who played the piano for Marvin Sapp, and
Mhm.
he was really helpful in getting me started in recording. So
Nice.
that's kind of how I got started.
Nice. No, that's very cool. I think it's pretty awesome to have mentors along the way, and it looks like you
Yes.
have quite a few that you can turn to and rely
Yeah.
on, which is pretty awesome. So your music, it's very it's very good. I have to say, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now, as you can see. But what could you describe the kind of music you create for the audience and yeah.
Man. Okay. Well, honestly, I have never been asked that before, but
Okay. No, that's fine.
I don't know. I would describe it as neo soul slash pop,
That's what I was gonna
but
say.
I love to experiment with different sounds.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you can really hear that on Shooting Stars featuring Blondie.
Hmm.
I love to experiment with like electronic and dance sounds. So, I just love to experiment, but I would have to say my roots are neo soul and pop.
Cool. Cool. And I was listening to the first one there, Intentions, and it's got a great beat to it, and there's still a message there as well. Like it's, could you tell us a bit more about like your writing process and what goes
Okay.
into that? Or yeah.
I would have to say I just honestly write from experiences,
Hmm.
which is why as soon as something comes to me, I have to write it down because it's
Right.
kind of like flashes of lightning. You
Hmm.
know, it doesn't. It has to come organically, and it doesn't happen. A whole bunch
Right.
of times.
Right.
Also, I sometimes listen to instrumentals and just write to them and see if I can use those lyrics to fit a beat from my producers. Shout
Hmm.
out to Ahmad Collins, Trevor Boland, and
Right.
Bots, who were patient and so helpful
Mhm.
with me creating this piece of art.
Nice, nice. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I kind of got the neo soul vibe for sure. Um, is there some inspirations? I'm sure it's kind of a bit of the church background, that's kind of blending into that, but it's also got that futuristic or
Yeah.
modern day feel to it, right? So, do you have inspirations that you would say? I'm sure you probably have a
Uh,
few, but mainly who's you look up to as an artist, and maybe kind of that's pouring over into your music?
I would have to say seasoned veteran artists would be India Arie, Jill
Mm,
Scott, Mariah Carey, Music
mm.
Soul Child, Mary Mary, which is a
Okay,
Christian
okay,
group,
okay.
Erica Baidu, Tidra Moses, Maze, the Isley Brothers,
Mm.
and newer, artists that I really look up to in a way are Janae Aku, Tanisha, Dawn Richards, Kelly Rowland, Eric Bellinger, Ari Lennox, to name a few.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice, nice. No, it's
Yeah.
quite a long, a solid list of artists for sure, though that you can
I
tap
know, I
into.
have a solid list, right?
I know for sure.
I'm like, I thought about it.
No, that's good. That's good. That's awesome. So yeah, with regards to, you know, I noticed that you do quite a bit, not just music, right? Uh, Modeling, kind of acting as well, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I kind of do modeling just kind of on the side. And it's
Okay.
really, kind of when I feel like it. I don't really like get too like, oh yeah, this is like ooh, a super serious thing.
Right, right.
But I love to do it in my spare time
Hmm.
sometimes. The biggest thing that I love to do, I would have to say, is my activism.
Okay.
And, that's one of those things where, like, when I'm in it and I'm present, I'm in it. Like, I
Right.
do the work and I try to help out as much as I can be.
Hmm.
It can, but, that really, I would have to say my activism actually, inspired me to write intentions in a
I can
way.
definitely see that, like just based on the lyrics, like I was saying, like while it's catchy, it's like it's got a meaning, right? So,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the next question is, how do you feel like those things outside of music, are helping you with your music, indirectly, or bleeding into maybe your writing, things like that, or your creative process.
I don't know. I mean, intentions was a good example of that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it really, for me, it made me think of like doing everything with intention. Whether white America wants to admit it or not,
Hmm.
we are the culture.
Hmm.
I would like to quote Pharrell. He said, "Remember, black is a space, and it's the color of your face, and there would be no sunny days if black went away."
Right,
I just think that life experiences really can influence your art
right, right.
in every way, whether you realize it or not. And
Hmm.
honestly, sometimes that's a bad thing, but sometimes that's a beautiful thing as well.
Right, right. Yeah, I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
stuff recently, even like with TikTok, some of those, creators who, I don't know, is it, I can't remember the big names, but, being white, and they're kind of leeching
Mm,
off of some dances or, certain things. So it's interesting
mm,
to see how those, platforms, are being
yeah.
pushed in a certain way of, hey, make
Yeah.
sure you get back to the actual original creators and things like that.
Mhm.
It's a tough
Yes.
thing, but it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how they adapt kind of things to
Yeah.
these issues, right? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. It's pretty great, being at your age to, be a part of activism, in your area there, spreading the
Yeah.
good word of it, all that for sure. So let's take it back, maybe to, this release, right? First of all, congrats
Okay.
on the new release. Um,
Thank you.
could you tell the people more about the actual release and the
Okay.
inspiration behind that per se?
Okay. So, my EP in the meantime,
Mhm.
which came out this past Friday, and it's on all streaming platforms. You know, the inspiration behind this was that I wanted to make an EP before I created an album.
Okay.
And I wanted to give a little bit of information about what's been going on in my life since COVID.
Mhm. Right, right, right.
Which I feel like everyone is writing stories like,
Yeah, about
here's what
yeah.
happened when COVID happened to me.
Right, right, right.
But also for me, I wanted to really try different sounds with this EP and
Mhm.
see what works for me, because I feel like that's the biggest form of creation that an artist can do. Like, you don't put yourself in a box. You just try different sounds and see what happens.
Right, right.
You know, and I would have to say the cover of the EP was actually a painting of me made
Okay.
by my really chill friend
Mhm.
Maddie Stuckey, and I asked her to paint old pictures of some of my dearest family members. My grandmother actually allowed me to use my late grandfather's
Oh,
picture, and it's
oh.
actually on the bottom. He loved to cut hair.
Oh, okay.
My mom was a model back in the day.
Yeah.
Don't ask her that because she'll be like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." But so that was one of the pictures is actually of her, and
Mhm.
then my dad, aka my dadager,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
That was a picture of him and me at my christening,
Okay.
and with this cover and just with this EP, I wanted to give a little bit of background, on my story as
Right.
a human being on this
Right.
path called life. So
No, that's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I did notice looking closely at the cover there, the images as well. So it's interesting to now hear the meaning,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you just see something, you're like, oh, like that looks cool, but you don't actually really connect and see what exactly is the message
Yeah.
behind it. So that's
Mm.
cool to hear that, and
Yeah.
I think it blends perfectly with the project as well. Is
It
there
does. Thank
you,
you.
yeah, no, definitely. You made mention to like all throughout this, like, from, the people that have helped you, getting you in the studio, showing you kind of a way to even, just collaborating with a friend for the artwork, and even the collaborations on the project is where like you're from. How's that been with COVID, working through this, getting this done? Has it been a challenge to kind of put this together with kind of the restrictions and stuff, or what would you say in that regard?
I mean, I'm here in Texas,
Yeah.
so they weren't that good with like restrictions. To be completely honest with
That's
you,
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
that's a whole nother conversation within itself. But
right.
honestly, it's hard because I've really had to in this past year.
Hmm.
I've really had to navigate the social media world
Okay.
and the hashtags and like posting every day. Like, I've had
Mhm.
to like really figure all of this out and everything.
Right,
And it's been kind of tough because it takes a minute to post on these different social media platforms. Like, it can take up to like 30 to 45 minutes. And I'll be like, oh
right,
my God, what?
right,
Why is this
right,
taking so long? And
right,
then, you know, um, but I just think this is one of those situations
mhm,
where God is like putting us in these positions where we have to just adapt to
right,
it, Or, like as Bruce Lee once said, you have to be like water, man.
Yeah.
Because, what adapts to what, water adapts to whatever shape and space it is in. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, definitely. No, you bring up a great point about like social media, and I mean, it's such a challenge. Not just for artists, like just businesses trying to get
Yeah.
the word out about what they're doing. I mean, there's so many different platforms. I'm not too sure. Are you on TikTok or is that another?
Um, yeah, I was gonna mention that towards the end, but yes, I am on TikTok.
Okay,
I do my little singing videos and everything, and like
nice.
all of that cute stuff.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you. No, the only reason I ask is because it's new to me, so I've
yeah,
ventured on there a little bit, but it just seems like a whole different world. So it's
it
like
does.
another platform
Oh
to have
yes,
to learn, and
yes.
trying to upload a video on that for me, like that took me. You're talking 30 minutes. It took me a couple hours, and then I'm like, okay, is this right or
Oh
like does
no.
this look good? And then, but you get the hang of it, right? So I can see what you're talking about though. Like there's just so many things that go into the platform in your mind. It's just like, okay, just put out content, right? Put out great content. A lot easier said than done at times, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's good though.
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, in terms of your project then, what would you say, like, do you have a favorite song on the EP or
I know you was gonna ask me that, and I knew. I was like, "Ooh, Lord, what I'm gonna say is my favorite song?" Honestly, oh man,
I
I
mean
don't
like
know. I mean,
they're like your baby. I know you can't pick a
I
child
know
kind of thing, right? So,
you asking me a hard question. That's like claiming one of your kids and not claiming the rest. But
right.
I love all my paintings because I feel
Mhm.
like through music I just paint.
Right.
But
Okay.
I would have to say my first favorite song would be "Shooting Stars" featuring
Okay.
Gandhi
Okay.
because I love that I really got a chance to experiment,
Hmm.
with a different, more dance-like sound,
Okay.
which is something I am not used to doing.
Right.
So in that way, it was very special to me because I
R-
got to try something
Yeah.
very different for me as a
Nice.
musician. So
Right. Cool. Cool. That's
yeah.
awesome. And like I said, I'm interested. I love that you're collaborating on so many different levels with people, and I mean, you just have to naturally, um, unless you're
Oh,
gonna do it all yourself. But my question is, are these usually like your friends, or how are these collaborations coming about? Like, are you like working on a song and you're like, I know so and so, and I need to get them on this, or is it just studio sessions and people are around and they're like, hey, like hop on this kind of thing? Like, how is that kind of working when it comes to your collaborations kind of thing?
I would love to be that artist who would
Yeah.
be in the studio and have somebody just be there and be like, "Oh yeah, come on, let's
Yeah.
hop on it." But
Right.
I'm not. That's never been the case for me. Like for
Hmm.
me, I hear a song, right, and
Hmm.
I'll have like recorded my part to it, and I'll be like, "Okay, I have got to get a feature, and I know who would fit
Right.
what I'm trying to emulate with this song."
Right. Right.
And that's what I did for Shooting Stars, and that's what I did for Intentions featuring New
Right.
Soul Poet because, you know, both artists they brought something different to these songs, and
Right.
it really just kind of by God's grace that it just kind of clicked for me. Like,
Hmm.
okay, who do I know? And also as far as producers go, I just kind of had to look around. I had to do some networking. I won't lie and
Mm.
say I didn't have to. I
Yeah.
had made some really good relationships with them because, they'll be like, oh, okay, I know what you're about to say. Like, okay, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we know, okay,
Yeah.
but, but
Right.
yeah, I just had to kind of do some networking. And then I
Right.
like to say that, everything is timed and destined, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, even if it doesn't work out with the person, I look
Right.
at it like I was meant to meet this person at this time in my life
Mm-hmm.
for a particular reason. that I
Right.
may not know at the time, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I may know later on. So yeah,
Got you. Got you. No, that's awesome. And
yeah.
um, definitely love the selection of people that you have. You know, I think it's a solid pairing on the songs that I heard that you have people with, right? So that's pretty cool, right? Sometimes I
Thank
feel like
you.
it can be a mismatch of like, you know, just throw someone on there, but no, I think they blend really well. So that's awesome.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'm curious, just in terms of, you know, Texas. To me, I just think huge, bustling, you know, just, you know, when it comes to music as well. Is the area you're located in, do you find that it's easy to network and find people? You know, are people receptive to networking, or what would you say that?
Well, ooh, okay. I didn't expect that question for today. Let's see. Uh, ooh, Jesus. Um, it. This is Port Arthur,
Mhm.
so naturally they're more inclined to really, really be open to hip hop.
Hmm.
That genre because
Right,
most people don't know this, but
right.
Pimp C,
Hmm.
which was a part of UGK, actually came from Port Arthur.
Nice,
Most people
nice.
don't know that. So, naturally, this area in particular is more inclined to support, well, not really support, but just kind of be more receptive to,
Yeah,
hip hop. But
right.
then again, I see people and they'll be, but then again, there's people that have came from here or they had family members here, like Robert Glasper, and he's a jazz artist.
Right, right,
So, it's worth mentioning. I just think that you just gotta figure out who your people are.
right.
Who you can really market, and they would actually like your stuff in this area.
Hmm.
And plus, it's mainly a good number of it is you know a kind of male dominated sort of area. So
Hmm.
I've been learning how to navigate that as a woman,
Right.
and I think that people are receptive because I know that I've gotten support off of this project, and I
Hmm.
won't act like I haven't because I don't want to put people into a box and say
Right,
that they're
right,
just one thing or that
right.
they just like one thing. But and I think just like with everywhere else, if you are from that area, it is a bit harder to, really make it happen. But if you have the push and you have the drive behind it, I feel like
Mhm.
all things are possible through
Definitely.
God.
Definitely. No, that makes sense. No, it's
But yeah,
interesting. I like to learn about, you know, different areas and different scenes and the different challenges, you know, that artists may face in different areas. So like, you know,
yeah.
Nashville, everyone's like, maybe let's move to Nashville because, you know, it's such a bustling place,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot more competition that you're having to break through from too as well. So, um,
Yeah.
it's interesting in that regard. And then obviously, yes, some places are very focused on a specific genre. But to your point, it's also, you know, being different and unique helps you to also stand out as
Yeah.
well, right? How many
Yeah.
rappers are out there, right? You can break
Mm-hmm.
through in a different angle at that and attack it a different way. So,
Very
no,
true,
that's cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's how I look at it. Like, you just have to look at the positive in every situation. And I feel like there's a positive in,
Right.
even the most like, oh, okay, I gotta figure it out and I gotta make it happen. But
Right.
if you had the push and drive behind it, I feel like God will handle the rest.
The rest. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking to collaborations, is there any dream collaborations that you're like, I know you named a lot of artists there. Is there like, I want to work with this artist so badly, you know, or even locally, is there like someone who's you look up to locally that you're like, I would love to collaborate with that person? Yeah.
you know, I'm just gonna see whoever calls first.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna just put that out into the universe.
I like that. I like that.
See, I just, I'm really big on just letting God
Then
take
look.
the lead, like
Okay.
it's
All
just
right.
letting it happen.
That makes
Like
sense.
I'm not too much of a stickler on like saying, oh yeah, this is what I want, because like
Right.
I don't know, I just be like I be feeling like, ooh, I don't know, I might jinx it if I say it, so I'm gonna just
Right.
like think it,
That's an interesting
think it
mindset,
and
though.
manifest
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you just said you're not big on focusing on what you want. Did you say?
Yeah, like
Okay.
I'm not really big on focusing and saying what I
Hmm.
want.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
I'm more so big on just like thinking it
Right.
and like
Right.
kind of keeping that idea to myself and then just
Hmm.
like, okay, so how can I actualize it? What
Right.
are
Right.
things that I could be doing that could bring me further to the place where I want to be?
Okay, cool. Cool. No, I didn't mean I'm not grilling you. I think that's a cool mindset. I really do. So that's why I was wanting to bring that out because a lot of people are, I see people on Twitter all the time, like, sign me, like, I want to work with you, like, and it can come
Yeah,
off as desperation. So I
yeah,
really respect the fact that you're just like, hey, I'm going to do me, I'm going to work, and, whatever happens is meant to be, and I'm going to make the most of that opportunity, right? So, um, not a lot of
yeah.
artists have that approach, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
sometimes entitlement from artists as well. But no, that's a very cool approach. I like the way you're thinking for sure. So um, I know we kind of talked on the pandemic, and how that's you've had to stay connected with fans. No, this might be a tough question to answer, but is there anything you would say that the pandemic, before the pandemic, right? How you were marketing or how you were approaching things was this way, and then the pandemic hit, and you're like, "Crap, I got to shift," and now I'm doing this. And moving forward in the future, the pandemic has helped me to know or learn such and such that you're doing to market your music. Is there something you could say that the pandemic has shifted your mindset in such a way to help you with your music?
Um, you know, I would have to say that through the pandemic, I kind of had to learn because before the pandemic, I wasn't really open to doing live shows
Okay.
just because I was letting my nervousness get the
Mm.
best of me.
Right. Right.
And, after the pandemic happened, I just realized, I should have I should have really actually tried to put myself more out there in that way. So
Hmm.
like now I'm like, okay, even if I have to like stay up all night and perform routines
Right.
and, practice perform, it's like I realize I have to go out there and I have to get it. Like,
Right.
and that's a big thing that I had to learn through the pandemic is like, okay, I might be scared to perform live, but I have
Hmm.
to push through and
Right.
just make it happen because I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So,
Right,
yeah.
right, and that
So
that's
yeah,
interesting.
that's what the pandemic taught me.
No, that's cool because I think too sometimes, like, yes, it's you just like you can say you're nervous, right? But sometimes I
Hmm.
personally feel that that might help your performance, because you're like in your head, I gotta practice so much, I gotta make sure my routine is down, and that kind of bleeds into a better performance, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing as well. But that's cool. I know the pandemic is there's a lot of
Yeah.
negative in there, but like you're saying, like it's finding the positives throughout it, and maybe it takes you a longer time to be warming up to the thought of performing more, kind of thing like that for sure. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I know you talked about a lot of people that you've come across that have helped you at the beginning there, and helping you with navigate the music industry and push your career. What's would you say is the best piece of advice that any one of those people that you looked up to has kind of given you?
I think the best piece of advice a musician gave me
Hmm.
was given by David Banner.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
I met him at a thing my dad brought me to.
Hmm.
And, one thing about that man, David Banner, he
Yeah,
knows how to keep a crowd
engage.
invested in
Yeah,
whatever he's saying,
right,
buddy.
right. No, it's true.
My dad was like, "Oh yeah, my daughter is trying to be a musician. Can you give her any
Hmm.
advice?" And I
Hmm.
introduced myself, and he was like, "Don't try to fit into what they think you ought to be. Don't try to be like everyone out here, because you don't know what they had to do to get in those positions. Always remember that. And he probably doesn't even remember me, but that was for me, that was a special piece of advice. Like, it really was. And I think even now, for me talking to you and how I've talked to most interviewers, it's kind of just been like I've been doing, me, not really trying to fit into, whoever's perception of me is.
Right. I think that's tough sometimes because I think generally you're just looking for reinforcement that what I'm doing is okay, and you can see, especially with social media right now, you see so many different things, and it's good to piggyback or learn from what other people are successful at, but it's sometimes that comparison thing of like, oh, now I should do that, or do you know what I mean? But doing you and staying true to what you are and what your music is and what you're about, I think is so important, and I think you have a solid foundation of what that is, which is pretty cool as well. So no, this has been an amazing chat. I just want to have some fun maybe with this question, because you mentioned your studio sessions and not really just having people to drag in. I'm wondering, do you have like any superstitions or rituals when it comes to performing, or some people are like, I cannot have anyone in the studio, I need to just be zeroed in. Some people want it to be a party atmosphere, but they're like, no, like it's just got to be regimented in business. But are there any rituals, superstitions that you have related to music?
Let me see.
Okay.
When I'm performing, I like to stay busy, so I don't have to like focus too hard on the fact that like I have a show to do. Like,
right.
I don't know if I got that from my grandmother. Like, I gotta stay busy, okay?
Right.
And then I like to take a nap. Like, before a show, it's like I need to take a nap. Like, especially if I've been studying, all night or something. Like, naps are my friend.
Yes.
I like to do affirmations as well, and say a special prayer, to God and my ancestors. And in the studio, I like to ride in my car before I get there and listen to music that gives me a certain vibe.
Right.
And then I like to say a special prayer and do affirmations and just kind of go out there and do it. And, I do like for my studio sessions to kind of be calm and just have, really calm energy.
Right.
I don't really, like, I would love to be like one of those artists that like can have millions of people around and like just record and be like, yeah, I did it. Like, yay. But like for me, I have to kind of be in a really, calm, sort of peaceful setting.
Right.
So yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm always curious because I feel sometimes, people, there's certain things that they need to do to perform the best. Like, even coming down to writing, is there a special place that, like you said, getting in your car, and I know a lot of people, like, even just traveling, like being on an airplane or something like that, that helps with them writing and stuff like that. Is there a specific place where you find that like writing for you is like, if I'm in this element, like I can write the best, or do you have a place like that, or?
I don't know. I really don't.
No?
I would love to say like, oh yeah, I have a specific like set place, but I don't know. It just don't work for me like that. Like it does. Like it just kind of comes
to you.
Like,
yeah. I got
you.
Just
write it down. Like
no. No, that makes sense.
That's hard when it's like I'm in my car because obviously I need to drive.
Right.
So, but I'll just be like, okay, remember what you thought about.
Right. You don't want to forget. It's gold. No, I hear you.
But
no, that makes sense. Cool. Well, this has been a great chat. It's been a pleasure to learn more about you and what you're doing and your process, and obviously the new EP out there. What's next for you in terms of music, events?
Yes. So what's next for me? No pressure. I think that that the next thing will be an album.
Okay.
This project is going to be really talking about my emotions in different situations I went through
Mm-hmm.
and what I want in my life, especially my love language.
Mm.
I'll be doing some live performances, so be on the lookout for that. And, y'all will just have to stay tuned because
Stay
I'm a
tuned.
woman of many
Many
talents,
Okay.
So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. So again, that is Jonee, new EP out. In the meantime, make sure you go give it a listen. It is a great project. I promise you that. You won't be disappointed. Other than that, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's
Okay.
Jonee Music
Okay.
and music with the Z.
Okay.
My Snapchat is Jonee Music with a Z.
Okay. Yep.
And my website is joneeproductions.com. I also have a link tree, and it's
Okay.
Jonee Music, Music. And on my Instagram, so you can find the links to all of my different social media and
Right.
music platforms. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll plug that in the description below for everyone. But again, this has been a pleasure. I wish you all the best. I'm excited to see this project grow and obviously to hear more from you as things go on. So thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
again, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
My vibe on a million. I'm about my business. So you know I'm all about my digits. Only got one life, gotta live it.